I'd love to do physical thing again, but maybe not throw up again, because that was not fun the day that happened. I read the script and completely fell in love with the character and the story, and I myself have dealt with my own kind of obsessions or competition with myself to be the best in my line of work. Or I think what's interesting about the movie is we explored obsession through the lens of sport, which I think is very different than exploring obsession through the lens of art, which we've seen in films like Whiplash or in Black Swan. And when you explore obsession through a lens of art, you don't have a quantifiable answer, because art is in the eye of the beholder. So you really fall in love with what the character is doing through your love of them and love of their passion for what they do. With sport, it's a quantifiable number that you're after.
See what time I have to get to McVarsity. 7:59 seems doable.
We don't talk about that aspect of sport because it's oh, you're just the best or you're not. But your physical body becomes as much as it's your tool to victory, it becomes your tool to self-destruction, because you end up punishing yourself with your own sport.
We can't be psychotic like you. Some of us have lives.
Your mistake is that you always stick to what you're good at.
I really had to go through that as an actor in order to access that part of the character. And my hands were bleeding. I was so incredibly sore every single day. And it's true, you wake up in the morning and I was felt really bad because I didn't hit the right time that I wanted for my 2K the earlier day. And so then I'm just pushing myself well beyond what I actually could do, given that I have to work out 3 other times that day. But it becomes this sort of game you sort of play with yourself. And so it was really interesting to kind of dive into that with Alex as a character.
Give yourself a break. Relax.
Relax. Relax.
You don't understand how hard I have to push myself to be the best.
Lauren wrote the script based on her own college experience in certain ways, university experience. And so people actually were peeing themselves and vomiting, and that was just a part of the experience for her. And so being able to kind of be in those shoes, I thought was a really interesting place to be in, and definitely experienced some of that for myself too, which I never had. So yeah, I'd love to do physical thing again, but maybe not throw up again, because that was not fun the day that happened. I was oh gosh, this does actually happen. This is horrible.
You had the best time. It still wasn't enough.
Gotta let it go.
I had 5 weeks to prepare for the movie, which was not a lot of time to learn how to row, because I didn't have a stunt double or anybody. It was just me the entire film. So I was waking up in the morning at 4, and I would drive for an hour to the Marina del Rey, and I would row from 5 in the morning until 8, and then I would take a nap, and I would eat, and then I would be back on the water at 9, and I would row until 12, and then I would drive an hour back into Los Angeles, take a nap in my car, and work out again for an hour with my trainer Beck Wilcock with weights, and then I'd go home and I would eat, and I would stretch, and I would do auditions and other things that I was working on at the same time, and then I would wake up the next morning and do it all over again. So the preparation was incredibly exhausting, but also really cool, because I got to really kind of dive into this character through actually falling in love with the sport of rowing. COVID happened and I lost all of my abs, but I gained 12 pounds of muscle during that time. I really physically transformed in the same way that I think emotionally I did, because when you're so physically exhausted, there's nothing left to protect you. You're just open and raw all the time. When Lauren sent me the script and I read it, and I love the story, obviously, of obsession, she sent me this lookbook, and in it she said that Alex is a conquistador. She's a conqueror. She conquers the sport. And to me, that was what was really attractive about it, is I was then asking myself, can I conquer the sport? Can I learn how to do this in the short amount of time that I have before we have to start filming, that I can conquer the sport? And really being able to achieve that was very, very cool.